Yeah. Hello, this is Andrew Davey at Nevada Forward, and we're here with Professor Michael Kagan here at UNLV. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to talk to you.
So, first off, how did you come here to UNLV and more specifically to the Immigration Law Clinic?
Well, I was living abroad and I went on the academic job market. It's called the meat market, and I was meat. And so essentially, this was the best job that I got, and it's a great place for me because I can teach law and think about law with the usual work of an academic, but I'm also in the clinic, which means that I'm in the trenches at the same time. I don't want to be in the ivory tower 100% of my time.
And what kinds of cases do you handle at the clinic? My understanding is that many of your clients are children.
That's right. The largest number of our clients are kids, and our youngest client right now I think is 3 years old. We do deportation defense. We do the hardest and most high stakes types of immigration cases, and we're in immigration court litigating and defending people against the lawyers for ICE who are seeking removal orders against them. And our largest program in the clinic is the Bernstein Children's Rights Program, which defends unaccompanied kids from Central America who are fleeing gang violence.
Now, I noticed this week that your program previously got some funding from AmeriCorps, and that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, our children's rights program started as an AmeriCorps fellowship for two lawyers, and it was started by Eric Holder about 2.5 years ago, and we were one of only 7 original grantees for that program nationwide. But the Trump administration has ended it. It's not surprising the Trump administration does not want to pay for kids fleeing from Central America to have lawyers. The administration is trying to deport them. And so they ended that. Thankfully, we've gotten a very generous 5-year donation from Edward M. Bernstein and Associates, so we're able to continue this work around the country. I know other programs that got the AmeriCorps funding are really scrambling now.
And overall, how much more challenging is your work with the current administration in power?
It's very stressful. All deportation cases are stressful, and that was true under President Obama as well. But there's been a higher level of aggressive tactics, more resistance from the government to things that were routine last year in terms of allowing people to pursue all their options before they're deported. Now we have DHS essentially wanting to move as quickly as they can towards getting a deportation order, and that's getting a deportation order against a middle school age kid with no criminal record.
And that gets to, I guess, a common misperception out there, which is when our current attorney general goes out there and talks about all these violent criminals coming to America to bring their gangs here and threaten our lives. That instead, what you're seeing on the ground are victims of these gangs coming here seeking asylum.
Right. I actually agree with most of what Jeff Sessions has said about MS-13. They are murderous group of people. But if we were serious about combating murderers like that, wouldn't we have sympathy for the people who run away from them? I don't know any normal police officer who deals with violent criminals and isn't sympathetic with their victims. I'm sure Las Vegas police officers are. I'm sure New York police officers are. But the Trump administration, I think, has mainly used this as a rhetorical tool to try to turn any mention of immigrants into a discussion of criminals. We know that very few immigrants have any criminal record at all, and most of them just chaperone field trips with me and go to work every day and keep this city running and keep this country running. And that's not the kind of immigrant that the Trump administration has wanted to talk about.
Now, even though it's been almost a week since the violent attacks in Charlottesville, the entire nation is still trying to process what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are now concerns about the safety of our immigrant communities, especially in light of the heightened deportations. Is it safe to report an incident to the police?
I don't know, and that's a very scary answer. As a lawyer, we're often in the situation, some of our clients are victims of crime, and we often want to persuade them to go to the police, and it's much harder to do that now. We can't give them any guarantees. And Metro has a very complicated partnership with ICE. They do turn people over to ICE. Not everyone. I don't think that they're trying to enforce immigration law, but people are scared, and I can't give them any ironclad guarantees as an attorney to say that they don't have to be scared.
So finally, first off, what advice do you have for immigrants out there who are concerned for their safety? Even if it's women who are trying to escape their abusive husbands.
Yeah.
And what advice do you have for the rest of us in terms of what we can do to help make our immigrant neighbors feel safer?
I think if you're not an immigrant, you should call the sheriff and tell the sheriff that our number one priority is that we want everyone in this community to feel safe talking to the police. I think the sheriff would agree with that, but I think it's important for him to hear that from non-immigrants, not only from the immigrant community. It's been very scary that, for instance, recently the chief of police in Los Angeles has reported that women are not coming forward, Latino women in particular, are not coming forward to report sexual assault and domestic violence. Other police chiefs in other big cities have reported the same. It's hard to imagine that would be different in Los Angeles than in Las Vegas. And unfortunately, the thing is that if an undocumented woman is being abused by her husband and asked me, can I feel 100% safe calling Metro? I cannot say 100% you're safe. I can't. I wish I could. And I think it's up to the police department to say that, but they haven't either. They aren't willing to make a binding guarantee that people are safe to call 911, and frankly, that doesn't just put women suffering from domestic violence in danger, it frankly puts all of us in danger.